Good morning, everyone. And you know that the church for 50 days is celebrating Easter, and we're in the third week of Easter. The great 50 days. There were a great 40 days of Lent when we prepared for Easter, and now we're in the great 50 days of Easter. And the church during these 50 days puts in the Gospels the stories of Jesus after his resurrection. And you know that after Jesus rose from the dead, what did he begin to do? He began to appear to his disciples and to show them right out that he was alive. So we hear over these weeks the stories of Jesus appearing to one group and another group, and today, the gospel, he's appearing to his disciples. He comes and stands in their midst on that evening of the resurrection, and they can't understand what's happening. Now, imagine the disciples. They saw Jesus crucified only a few days before. That must have astounded them because some of them thought he may have been the Son of God. And then after that, he appears to them. And this is what their first impression is. This is a ghost. Now, you know, the Jews in Palestine at the time believed a lot in ghosts. It was common understanding of spirits in the world. The Jews, the people of the time, a little bit more primitive than we are. Some of us believe in ghosts, some of us don't. But the Jews understood ghosts. And so they thought this was a ghost, and it says very clearly here in the Gospel from St. Luke chapter 24, they were startled and terrified. Have you ever been startled and terrified when you watched a movie, the supernatural, all those crazy things on television, The Exorcist, all those crazy things? You're startled and terrified. And Jesus comes in through the door, if we listen carefully, and stands in their midst. And they think he's a ghost. Well, Jesus doesn't stop there. He immediately says to them, "Take a look at my hands and my feet where I was wounded. Give me something to eat. Come and touch me." You can't touch ghosts. They slip through your hands. You can't feed a ghost. Jesus is saying, I'm the same body that I was when I died, although I'm a little different. I'm a resurrected Lord. You and I don't know what that means because we've never seen anybody resurrected. Some of you may have seen ghosts. I'm more afraid of the living ghosts around me than the other ones that peer up, but nonetheless, we've never seen a resurrected body. A resurrected body is still a human body, but it has a certain difference. It's not bound by time and space, and yet it's still the same body. And Jesus is showing them, come, look, touch. I'm going to eat something with you. So this new life, this new bodily life that Jesus has after the resurrection, he wants to show us, and he wants us to learn and understand more of the story by means of it. Because the story of his salvation for us is much bigger than the cross and the resurrection. It also promises that one day our bodies are going to be like his. Now, you and I say the creed every week, and what's the last sentence of the creed? I believe in the resurrection of the body and the life of the world to come. Catholics don't quite get that. They know that when we die as good Catholics, and hopefully all of us will, and we're working toward it, Our souls are separated from our bodies. Our souls, God willing, go to heaven. We live without our bodies in a certain sense in heaven, but we're all there. Our heads, our identities, we're all there in heaven. But we left something behind, our bodies. And those bodies, we know, turn to dust. But the Lord is saying to us that He's not going to lose us, and at the end of time, our bodies are going to be raised from the earth again, to be united to our souls, so we can be in heaven both body and soul. I believe in the resurrection of the body and life which is everlasting. We believe that. And so our ultimate destiny, even though we die, God is going to bring together what's left of us, and He can create out of nothing, as He did in the beginning. He's going to reconstitute the very bodies we have, but glorified. Still our bodies, but still somewhat different. We can go through doors. We can move differently. There's no more sickness or dying or aging. The church has believed that from the very, very first. And Catholics kind of stop at death. They know where they're going. We're going to heaven. Our souls are going to heaven. But we forget the bigger picture. I was once telling some people about this, and they said, "Father, we can't worry about all that. I'm just worried what we're going to make for dinner. We have immediate needs." And we often don't think that far in the distance. But the Lord is telling us today, this is in the future for you. The very body we have is going to be glorified. If we have been judged, and hopefully we will, as people who followed Christ, our bodies are united with us in heaven. If we are judged poorly, and some will, unfortunately, their body gets united with them in hell. How awful to spend eternity, body and soul, there. We're not going there. Our body and souls are going to be in heaven. And so the Lord is telling us this. In the first reading today of the prayer, of the first prayer the priest says, he says, "May we in this Easter season look forward to the day of rejoicing at our resurrection." The church looks forward to that with joy, not just going to heaven, and that's good enough for me. But all of us with our bodies, the same body, in heaven all together, touching, talking, all the things we enjoy here on earth, body and soul in heaven. And that's a great rejoicing for us. So we think about that today, and it may be remote, but it's our ultimate hope. I gave a class many years ago to a group of adults who we studied these, what we call last things. We're always studying present things as Christians, how to live our lives, how to be good people. But there's sometime where we have to think about other things and last things. And I remember we spent a lot of time, and people started out questioning, "Father, this sounds like science fiction," one person said to me. I said, "No, it's the Lord. It's a mystery that's so beautiful and so sublime that it livens us, it gives us hope." And after we finished and everyone understood what we were saying, we sat down together and we made an agreement that after the last one of the 12 died, the last of the 12, we'd have lunch together in heaven on the first Tuesday. It's not a weird promise that we actually believe, body and soul, after the resurrection, that we'll be able to sit down with one another and converse and enjoy and eat for pleasure and not for nourishment anymore, and kibitz to still grow and learn with each other. What a beautiful, beautiful Easter teaching this is that the Lord presents to us today. Now, I love this particular gospel from chapter 24 of St. Luke's Gospel, verses 35 through 48, because it recalls to mind a very interesting incident that happened to me as a young priest. I wasn't ordained very long as a priest, and someone came to the rectory door, as people do all day long. One of the great things about the priesthood is that priests are there most of the time, in the rectory or around the parish or by phone call, and if people need to stop, they do, and they still do. Our doorbell rings all the time. I'm not always there, though, because we have so few priests. Remember those days when we had 3 priests in a rectory, there was always somebody on duty. But today's world is very different. When we have 1 priest covering for 4 or 5, he's out and about. But I happened to be home that day, and a woman was at the door, and she asked if she could see me. Her name was Rachel, and she revealed in our conference together that she was a Jew, and a Jew who kind of believed in Judaism, but she was very proud of a brother of hers who was a rabbi, and she was very close to her brother, and she went to temple occasionally, but she mostly had a very vague belief. She told me a sad story that several months previously she had put her little baby boy to bed in his crib, and when she woke up in the morning, the baby had died from SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. It's a rare thing. Small statistical number of babies get put to bed in either the way they sleep or on their tummy or on their back, I don't know. But one way is right, one way is not right, I don't know. And the poor little baby died. She was, as is natural, inconsolable. She said to me, I've gone to psychics to find out what this is about. I've gone to other rabbis, searched Buddhism. Nothing seems to give me any peace, Father. So that's why I'm seeking you out, a Catholic priest, because I know you Catholics have thought through some of these things. Tell me where my baby is. And I said to her, I explained exactly as I explained to you, when we die, our souls go to the Lord, our bodies are put in the earth, our souls are judged and welcomed, and this little baby who was so innocent, I'm sure, trotted right into heaven. So don't be afraid, he's in heaven. It still wasn't enough. Oh, I'm glad, Father, but my baby's body is in the earth. And I remember this gospel passage from chapter 24, verses 35 and 48. After Jesus, I told her, rose from the dead, he came into the room and he said, look at my hands and my feet, touch me. A ghost doesn't have flesh and blood and bones. Oh, Father, I want to touch my baby's hands and feet. That's what I really want. And I said, the disciples touched the Lord's after his death. So will you. Because it's not just going to heaven. It's that our bodies are raised again to touch, to hold, and to be near. And with that, the burden in her being evaporated. She finally found peace. Now, I stayed close to her family. She had a few more children. She never converted to Catholicism, but our teaching healed her. That God just doesn't save our souls, he saves all of us, body and soul. Because touching and loving and being with each other is part of how he made us. We touch him in the Eucharist, in bread. He's not just spiritually there, he's united to matter. And so we are and will be. And so this little lady, This wonderful young woman, she wasn't just happy that her baby was in heaven. Oh, no. She wanted to do what the disciples were told to do. Go ahead, Jesus said. Touch my hands and my feet. A ghost does not have flesh and blood. Please give me something to eat.